Back in the 80s, I was teaching aerobics in the Jane Fonda era, complete with leg warmers and big hair. It was so easy to get a gig. Today, I'm a 65 years young yoga teacher trying to figure out how to get hired, brand myself, figure out all the social media, websites, email lists, lead magnets, online courses, workshops, offers, even retreat planning. Whew. In this episode, I talk about my experience of building an online yoga presence, the good, the bad, and the not-so-yogic moments. So let's get started. Welcome to the Youthful Older Yogi Podcast. I'm MJ Waddell, your yogi host and founder of Share Yoga. I've been practicing, teaching, and loving yoga for over 25 years. I'm an advocate of movement, creativity, and staying healthy in mind and body in the prime time of your life. It's never too late to start, and there's a lot of healthy years ahead. So let's start now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Youthful Older Yogi. I'm MJ Waddell, the creator and founder of Share Yoga. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. Funny thing that this whole episode is about the trials and tribulations of teaching at an older age and also figuring out a podcast. And my Mac that I usually record on, of course, today Zoom decided it wasn't going to work for me on that computer. So I'm using a PC, which I've never used before. And I look very grainy as I see my reflection back. So fingers crossed. Not really sure how it's going to turn out, but maybe if it looks horrible, or not myself, but maybe it's just one of the episodes that you just listened to. Anyway, I'm glad you're here either way, whether you're listening or whether you are watching on YouTube. So this episode is entitled Yoga Teaching After 50. I'm 65, and I really wanted to just talk about how it is teaching when you're at a later stage in life in today's 2025 world. So I want to start with a story. So back in the 80s, I was teaching aerobics. It was back in the Jane Fonda era with the leg warmers, the big hair. I had it all going on. And at the same time, I was chasing my professional theater career, not chasing, but just doing it, my professional theater career. So I was moving from gig to gig and sometimes state to state, traveling a lot. And to be honest, theater doesn't pay a lot, neither does yoga. So I'm in the two professions that are not, very high paying. So I always had a second gig, which was teaching aerobics. So and whether it was teaching aerobics at a club or cleaning the equipment or standing behind the desk, whatever they wanted, whatever they needed. And it was so easy to get a gig back then in the 80s. So by the mid 90s, I started to explore yoga. I was actually on a national tour when I was introduced to yoga by one of my castmates. And obviously today I'm still in love with that exploration. And then in 2006, got my 200 hours. And back then, what I did was go door to door. And literally, I'd walk into gyms and clubs, ask to speak to the manager, and then explain, I'm a yoga teacher. I would love the opportunity to teach yoga here. And some doors closed, but a couple opened. And I remember thinking it was a bit like theater. I was building my yoga resume the same as I was building my theater resume. And I felt like, if I finally get to teach at a yoga studio, that's like the Broadway of yoga. So that was in the early 2000s. So by 2010, I had made the Broadway of yoga and I was teaching in studios. And I was 50 years old at that time, 50, which I think is really young right now since I'm 65. It feels like that was so young. And I was the oldest teacher at most of the studios, which was okay. And at that time, studios were like booming with the power yoga and the hot yoga. And also suddenly when I got to the yoga studios, the numbers mattered. The amount of people and mats you had in your class really mattered. And it kind of gauged the measure of your worth. If you had to be kind of a favorite teacher. And if you wanted to keep your spot, if you wanted to keep employment. And honestly, it really sucked. It really sucked. And then came social media. And I remember one studio I worked at, they said, well, as much as you can, get on social media, promote your classes. And I'm like, now I'm in my mid-50s and I'm like, what? This really sucks. So it's like you're selling yourself. It was like I was auditioning, online for everything, not just theater, but posting, promoting, competing. It was like competing. And that's not how I ever want yoga to feel, as like a competition. I have enough of that in my other profession in the theater world. So that also sucked. And so here we are, 2025.
I wanted to pop in and thank you for listening to The Youthful Older Yogi. I love bringing you great guests, education, and ways to stay youthful in mind and body. If you love the show and want to help me make it even better, please consider becoming a supporter. You get to choose how much and how often you give, and there's no commitment. And remember, I donate a portion of every dollar I receive to charity. For 2025, I've chosen United Nations World Food Program. Just click the support button in the show notes. And just as helpful is sharing the show with others. Thank you again so much for listening. And now let's get back to the podcast.
So if you're over 50, you probably don't know how to market on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, or sometimes even run a computer or your iPhone. And so it can feel like you're being left out. And here's where I want to be really transparent. I am no expert at any of this. I have been slowly learning, really slowly, and trying to build an online presence. I've had to learn about websites and emails and lead magnets and courses and workshops. And I'm giving a retreat, my first retreat next week. And these are things that I never imagined I thought I would have to know or learn about when I first rolled out my yoga mat. And I've done this all as a solo entrepreneur. I'm a single woman with a budget. I have no tech team, no marketing guru, no social media manager, no kids to help me out with that. And some days I just want to say, screw it, and throw the laptop out the window and, forget about it. But I haven't. There's, especially this podcast, I really enjoy sharing it and doing it. It brings out the creative side in me. So I just wanted to be really transparent with that. I'm no expert. I just wanted to share my experience with it. And as I looked away, I'm just looking at my notes, just like today, my computer that I usually tape on, it gave out. I'm like, great. Okay. So thank goodness I have a spare PC, which was gifted to me about a little over a year ago. And I've had to teach myself how to use a PC because I don't know how to use a Mac. Anyway, that's part of the challenge, the ever-going challenge of learning all this stuff when you didn't grow up with it. And I don't know if I will ever, have 1 million followers or make a 6-figure income, all these courses and things. I have taken many courses about computers and email lists and all of this. And I still don't have a lot of followers. If I do, I don't know, because I don't even know how to check. So I don't have a book deal. I don't have a 6-figure income. I don't even know if these goals will ever pay off. So what I do know is that I'm still here. I'm still showing up, and I am still teaching. So even this podcasting, what you're listening to or looking at right now, was something I never imagined doing. The learning curve was very steep. I feel like it still is, but it's become something I love. And it's like my yoga practice. It requires dedication, consistency, and patience. Lots and lots of patience. And so I started this since mid 2023, this podcast, The Youthful Older Yogi. I've been doing 2 episodes a month. I don't make any money from this podcast. I don't have any affiliates or sponsors. I actually pay to podcast. I have to pay the podcasting platform that I use and Zoom. And also I have an editor, which I'm so grateful for, Dan Jones. So if you're watching on YouTube and you see the opening graphics, he's so wonderful. Thank you, Dan Jones from Cocoa Beach Productions. So that was one thing I just said, I can't learn how to edit. When you have to throw in the towel, and that was it. I really tried, but hours and hours of screaming, cursing, thank you, Dan. So grateful for you. But I love it. I love doing this podcast. I love creating the episodes. And so when you listen, when you share, when you leave a comment, it really means a lot to me. And I'm trying, and it feels like I'm slowly building a small but mighty community together. I also want to brag a little bit that I started to learn ChatGPT this January, another steep learning curve. And this is like the greatest thing. So what I do, like for this episode, I went into ChatGPT, it's free, and I just typed in, please help me write the notes and my ideas for this next podcast episode, which I wanted to talk about teaching over 50. And I put in and wrote down all the content I wanted to talk about and what it does. And then I ask it to organize it, check for spelling, and put it in a good order for me. And then it does that. It's like having a secretary or an assistant. It's amazing. Of course, I proofread it, and a lot of it I'm like, don't like that. So I'll ask it to change it, or I'll just change it myself. But it's made podcasting less of a nightmare. It also helps me with show notes. After I script it out, it will write the show notes for me. I have to add in the links and all of that stuff, but it's a time saver. So if you're an older yoga teacher listening to this or watching or wondering, should I bother with all this online stuff? Is it worth the learning curve? Is it worth my time and my dedication? And the honest answer is it just really depends. If you have the money to hire help, do it. I would do it in a heartbeat. The $1 billion lotto ticket that I only buy when it's big. I didn't win, but that was one of my dreams. I would hire somebody to do this, to help me do all the things that I don't like doing. And if you love learning things, give it a try. I do love learning things, and I am very proud of myself for having the patience to learn very slowly, but I know a lot more than I did a couple of years ago, for sure. But if it feels like it's soul-sucking, and maybe your sweet spot is just still in-person teaching at centers, at libraries, gyms, small studios, or big studios, there's no one right path. But please hear me when I say this, that your experience and your voice, it's needed, and your teaching, it's needed. So the yoga world doesn't need more really young, thin, perfect body girls doing a handstand on the beach. There's lots of that, okay? And good for them. I used to be able to do handstands too. But back when I could do it, there was no social media. So I can't post that, nor would I want to. But that's wonderful for them. What we do need is we need teachers that have presence and wisdom and experience and know how to hold space. And that's for teachers that have either been practicing or been teaching for a long time. And yeah, some days I just want to say, screw it. But most days I keep going because I love it. And because I believe that showing up, however you show up, and learning as I go is still valuable. I also wanted to say that finding work, finding jobs in studios is more difficult now, being that I'm older. I have applied to one studio. I won't say their name, but every one of their teachers is, I don't think they're over 40, and they have to be able to, look a certain way. And that's okay for that studio. But I feel many times that a lot of the studios, if they have younger owners, that there's a missing component for the older yoga student. Not that you have to have chair yoga. I teach at a 55 and over once a week, and these women are strong, and they're showing up, and they want to be challenged. And so it's not like, and it's over 55. People nowadays that are, into health and well-being and exercise, they're showing up with some strength. They've got stuff going on. So I feel, this is my opinion, that many of the studios are missing the component of having classes for beginning or older students that they can feel comfortable, and they don't have to go. If they can walk in, they don't need to do chair yoga. If you're walking into the studio, you don't need to do chair yoga. Yes, there's modifications and things like that, and props and all of that, which I've done episodes on. But I feel like that can be a missing component, not in all studios, but in some of the more popular, come in, get your sweat on, get your workout in. So what I've done now is I've developed some workshops, and some series and things. I've done one meditation series for skeptics and beginners online. I had 6 people show up. It took me months to figure out how to do it online, but I did. I had 6 people. I'm going to try to run it again. I'm not sure when. Maybe this year, maybe next year. And then I created a teacher cues workshop. And I did that one time at a studio. It was a 4-hour workshop, really successful. And it took me months. I even made a workbook. I learned how to do that. So that was a year and a half ago. And I also did a 6-week in-person beginner series, which I haven't marketed yet to other studios. So I've done that work, and I feel like now I can go market it to other studios. I'd rather teach in person, to tell you the truth. I do have 1 to 2 students that are online, not consistent, but a lot of people, their life, they're caretakers or whatever. So I'm feeling like I don't want to overteach, but I love doing, I could do 6 weeks beginner series. I could go in and teach a workshop, a meditation workshop, or a teacher, lots of different workshops I can teach. And also I can give continuing education credits for those that are in Yoga Alliance. So the marketing part is the hard part that is also a big learning curve. So that's on hold because next week I am hosting my first yoga retreat, which I've worked a year on. I just a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, learned how to do an Instagram reel. ChatGPT helped me, but even that, I was like, not working. So anyway, but patience, perseverance, showing up, lots of deep breathing, and lots of cursing. I eventually figure it out. And that's when I think back and I'm like, wow, I really have done a lot. But it's a slow and steady progression, as is your yoga practice. It's so parallel to the practice. So I just wanted to say that about, if you're an older teacher, it might be harder to find in-person jobs. There's a lot of libraries where I live that has yoga at the libraries, chair yoga and yoga for beginners, like once a week. So I'm not sure where you're listening from or if that's in your area. That recreation centers that you can go to, of course, yoga studios, gymnasiums, senior centers, lots of places you can go, 55 and over communities. So kind of get out there. It's like pounding the pavement. I still do that. I'm not afraid to just say, hey, do you want this offering for your, your residents or, people that come to the library, wherever. So it might pay off for you. So think about that. So in closing, I just wanted to say that keep going. Just keep going if you really are enjoying it. But again, if the online thing doesn't work out for you, then it's okay. People are craving in-person things. And like I said, I've been doing this. I have a website. You see it. I say it every week, shareyogawithmj.com, shareyogawithmj.com. I still don't even know how to work my website. I had to pay somebody to put all the retreat information up on the website. So that's another thing to learn. And I've had that website 3 years. Whew. All right. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking this path with me. And if you're figuring things out too, you're in good company. We can stumble our way forward together. So if this episode resonated with you, please, 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 I'd love to hear from you. Share your own story. Go to my website, shareyogawithmj.com, and you can write an email to me. YouTube, you can comment on YouTube. Please subscribe. It's free. I only do a newsletter maybe once a month because it takes me all day to do it. But just share what challenges you're facing if you're an older teacher or an older student and what keeps you going, okay? Because together, we're reminded that yoga is a forever practice and we're not done yet. So thank you again for listening or watching. And until we meet again, keep sharing yoga. Namaste.
Thank you so much for listening. Now you can go to my show notes on YouTube or Buzzsprout and send me a voicemail or email. I'd love to hear what topics you'd like me to speak about, what your thoughts are on the episodes, and maybe I'll share your message on a future episode. Please subscribe to my website, shareyogawithmj.com, so you can receive my newsletters and be first to know about my retreats, workshops, courses, and freebies. If you navigate on social media, you can find me mostly on Facebook and a bit on Instagram at Mary Jane Waddell. That's Jane with a Y, Jayne. This podcast would not be possible without the help of my editor, Dan Jones from Cocoa Beach Productions. You can find Dan at cocoabeachweb.com. And of course, thanks to my generous guests who share their time, insights, and youthful wisdom. Remember, the Youthful Older Yogi podcast is presented solely for educational, inspirational, and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for a physician or other qualified professionals. Okay, yogis, stay well, stay youthful, and keep sharing yoga.